Good early morning, everybody. It's a ridiculous time of the day. It's 2:37 a.m. on August 11, 2024. And of course, I was going to get on a lot earlier, but the criminals put me to sleep with radio frequencies, and then I needed to take care of my cats. I went inside into my bedroom to grab the phone that my mother left behind when she passed away. I always keep the phone turned off. I keep the Wi-Fi turned off on the phone because I don't use it as often as mine. And I keep it in an EMF pouch that's doubled over at the top. And I keep it tucked away. I went to grab it now because the criminals have gone into my regular phone and have done something to it so that I can't check my cameras. I had to offload all of my apps. I deleted 9,000 files, dozens and dozens of photos and videos that should have freed up a lot of space. And meanwhile, I have no space on my phone, zero. So then I go to grab my mother's phone. The pouch had been opened. It's usually doubled over at the top. We welcome whomever is there. I know it's crazy early in the morning. This is unintended, but I needed to document what has happened here today. Hi there, how are you? Well, I want to document what they've been doing to my communications. When my mother was unalived, when she was murdered, she left behind her cell phone, which is a newer model and larger model than mine. It doesn't have as much space on it, but it has her old photos on it and everything. And I kept it tucked away in my bedroom in an EMF pouch, turned off without Wi Fi. I went to retrieve it just now. The pouch was opened, the battery was drained dead. I cannot even turn the phone on. I'm pissed beyond belief that somebody broke my mother's phone. It has all of her photos on it, my photos on it. They are doing everything to sabotage my ability to document what's happening here, film them, use my phones, my communications. It's unbelievable. They've done it to my laptop, 2 phones now. This was a newer phone, belonged to my mom. So I apologize for the rant, but I didn't know if anybody would be around, and I wanted to just document this. And I'm going to read. It is very sinister. What's going on here is like totally off the charts sinister. They have stolen my mother's glasses. I had a bag of her prescription glasses that she wore, various years and stuff because her prescriptions changed. She always had beautiful designer glasses, sunglasses, all prescription. About 16 pairs, they were stolen from my bedroom. Now, this phone, I can't even turn this phone on. So, right now, I have 2 phones that I cannot attach a photo to. I can't videotape anything. My cameras, my Wi Fi cameras, the app won't even load. I can't load TikTok. I can't load any of my apps to do anything on either of my phones. And meanwhile, I pay for 2 terabytes of iCloud storage. And for some reason, that's not working. So they've done something to sabotage both of my phones. This is totally off the charts. So somebody went into my bedroom, went into an EMF pouch, opened it up, grabbed my mother's phone, and killed the battery dead. And now it's not even charging. I cannot even get into the phone. I can't even turn it on. I plugged it in. It's not charging. You can see that when you see the little battery image and you see that it's red at the end, well, it's been plugged in now for 10 minutes. I can't even get into the phone. I can't turn it on or off. Hi, Dial a Purchase. How are you? I didn't intend on being on so late, or I should say early in the morning. I was going to record something earlier. I wanted to read a little bit from The Hidden Evil, the Mark M. Rich book. Yes, I'm live. Keep chatting. Yes, these sinister, disgusting people went into my bedroom, opened up an EMF pouch with my deceased mother's phone, with her photos on it, her videos, my apps, and they killed the battery. They opened up the pouch and they destroyed the phone. I can't turn it on. The battery is dead. I'm going to have to call Apple on Monday and tell them that both of my phones have been hacked. And they need to help me with this. If I've got to find an Apple store, I'm going to have to drive to an Apple store. They've got to repair this. This is ridiculous. I've got no phones. They've destroyed both of my phones. I can't videotape anything. I can't attach a photo to anything to email anybody. And my house is listed for sale. I can't even attach photos that I take with my phone to send to my laptop. They don't want me to record them because they drive back and forth all day long. They're on my property. They've destroyed so much. This week alone, they tore off my security lights, my motion sensor lights. They pulled them off the tree. They didn't fall off the tree by itself because it would have been hanging from the cord, and the back where the nails were. First of all, it wouldn't have fallen off that way. You could see the back that it was literally torn off the tree. And then they tore off the ones from my porch. And then I found last year, I replaced a wall that these criminals, they used a heat gun on the wood. So they caused all the wood to buckle. So I paid somebody to cover it up with tin, and it looked really nice. Well, these criminals went over to that wall and rusted it with streaks. Oh yeah, the motion sensor lights, they're screwing with that, with my cameras. This week alone, while I was in my house, my security cameras started to spin around 3 times in an hour, which means that they were being interfered with. And it's always the same cameras, so that I know that somebody is on my property 24/7. These boots on the ground, private contractors. I probably got some tiny little piece of weenie because my house is so small and it's so cluttered that I've got a narrow path to get back and forth to my bedroom, which is why when this piece of shit runs in and out of my house, they knock everything down. Bleaching my clothes, every one of my long sleeve shirts, and I'm not saying one or two, every long sleeve shirt has been chemicalized with chemicals all over my sleeves in the back. I've got bags of clothes in my hallway of what they damaged. Half of which, I mean, most of it I threw away already. Like, I'm not going to keep the panties around that they've torn and sliced and stretched. Like, I'm a small woman. And when I go to put on my panties and they don't hug my hips and they fall down, you know that somebody's been playing with them. I mean, So, does this happen to you guys too? Do they mess with your panties, your underwear, your briefs? These people are sick. And just like Mark Rich says in his book, these are satanic psychopaths. They're Satanists and they're psychopaths. Yes, exactly. They blowtorch the wood. Not that's exactly what they do here. And they also did it in New Jersey. Except, you know what? I didn't know exactly how they were doing it in New Jersey. But I had a very small property there, and I was meticulous about my yard. I was in there every day doing stuff, so I always knew when something was up. I go in the yard and I find the top of something it looked like a funnel. It looked like it belonged to something, but I had no idea what it was because I don't really even know what a blowtorch is. But it had a stamp on it with a name. So I looked it up on the internet and I saw exactly what it looked like, and it's a blowtorch. So they were using a blowtorch on my trees in New Jersey. They're doing the same thing here in Kentucky. So this is a pattern of sadistic vandalism that I could prove. And also, just as an FYI, a fighter, my one of my friends said, you seem like such a nice, sweet woman, but you are a pit bull. And I am, especially when I get into the court and I have to defend myself, like when I defended my daughter against my ex-husband's pieces of shit lawyers. I tore one of them up so bad. I guarantee he's one of the ones that nominated me. Between him and the criminal defense lawyer who should never have taken my case and given me my money back. There are just so many evil people in this world that are willing to take advantage of good people, and they don't realize, like, they mistake somebody's kindness for a weakness. But when you get a Cancer Scorpio woman and you fuck with me, you are going to see the worst part of whatever you thought I didn't have. Like, I remember, like, when I lived in New Jersey and was still married, we would have block parties. Like, we were like the party family. So we would have block parties, we would have backyard parties, and we would like close off the block and stuff, and then we would move from house to house, and we went across the street. Exactly. Kindness is not weakness. Yes. 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 Strength to be kind. Yes. Well, these people don't know what kindness is. They cannot feel it. They lack empathy. That's why they can so sadistically harm an innocent animal or a child. I mean, the most innocent, defenseless animals, chickens and hens, and I could never post these photos because YouTube would have removed it. I probably should have posted it on Facebook. I think I could have gotten away with it on Facebook. But last year, they killed one of the mamas, and I had to take care of the babies that were left behind. And the babies were healthy. They were fine. They were doing fine. But every time I would bring them into my bedroom and leave them there to warm up and come back, they would be screaming. And I uncovered them this one time, and somebody either remotely or came in and physically scalped the baby chick. Scalped it. I have the photos. I was looking at it today and thinking, this is the most despicable thing that somebody can do. A little baby chick that was only a few days old that I was nursing because they killed the mother. They scalped the baby chick in my bedroom. Yes, thank you, Fred. Yes, good health to all targeted people. We are the strong ones. These are the losers, the cowards that hide in the dark. They're creepers. They're creepers. They're cowards. They can't show their face. These Freemason, sadistic, medieval creepos. They have to go to a lodge and create rituals and lie to everybody that joins. Oh, and I heard, somebody told me that lodge membership is down. I can't imagine why. People are waking up to who these fuckers are. Excuse my French. They're Satanist losers. They trick people to come into their cult. Oh, we're such good people. Oh, we donate to the community. Oh, the Shriners. Oh, we donate to the churches and the children's hospitals. Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? When you're a 501c3 nonprofit, you are required by IRS law to donate at least 10%. But they don't tell you that. They think, oh, we're doing such benefic work. If you're a nonprofit, that's what you're supposed to do. And they collect membership fees. So I can understand when the economy's bad, membership is going to be down everywhere. So these Freemason loser clubs, they're going to be losing members. They're not going to want to pay the fee, pays the due, and be blackmailed by these criminals. But anyway, I wanted to read something I just stumbled across. I was like flipping through The Hidden Evil, the Financial Elite's Covert War Against the Civilian Population by Mark M. Rich. And he's got the book very well organized. And yeah, they are losers, that's for sure. It's very well organized, but I'm jumping around here because this really caught my eye based upon what's happening exactly now. He writes, the Great Depression was deliberately created. The Great Depression was deliberately created. Anyway, let me just get my glasses. These criminals have been targeting my eyes for 10 weeks. It's 10 weeks. Monday will start week 11 if they continue this bullshit. Okay, so the Great Depression was deliberately created. The financial elite realized that their foremost enemy is the educated middle class who will fight to keep the property and independence that they have obtained. So they will use problem reaction solution to bring about unwanted change in order to enslave people. The Great Depression was one example of this, and this is happening now. Oh, they've done that to your eyes too? Yes. So much radiation. It's radiation poisoning. At first, I didn't know what it was, Dial of Purchase. And I contacted another TI who happens to be a doctor and prescribed something for me. Nothing worked. I was trying castor oil, eye washes, saline solution, sty ointment, sty drops. Nothing was working. So I finally looked it up, what the symptoms were, and it's radiation poisoning. That's exactly, my eyes are being radiated. So they were getting very itchy. I would wake and my eyes would be closed. I couldn't hardly open them. They would be glued shut. It was not an infection. They were weepy and drippy red. And the corners of all four corners were dry. And then when I would, oil them up and rub them, it's like they were little sand particles around there, and they were really targeting my left eye. Forced microwave induced a coma, September. Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh yes. I have photos on my phone. I've been documenting this because this is not normal for me. Like before I moved to Kentucky, they started microwaving me, radiating me in New Jersey. But in New Jersey, I was working out at a gym. I was sweating. I was going, to a sauna, getting it out of my system. I would take baths there, but my bathtub there stayed extra, extra hot because it was cast iron. But here, I've got one of those PVC plastic bathtubs, and the water stays hot only for so long. But when I came to Kentucky, they really destroyed my health here. And you would think that living in the open air and among the trees and the forest and being physically active and working the land, that I would be the healthiest person on the planet here. They are destroying my health. You should see what my feet look like. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. But let me go back here. So, the strategy of the elites, wrote Alan B. Jones in his book, How the World Really Works, is to squeeze the middle class to death by creating or exacerbating the major problems facing the society, including class warfare, crime, education, moral decay, etc., and then creating in response spurious governmental programs to quote unquote cure the problems that they just created. Oh, thank you. You get your fix watching my videos each day. Well, unfortunately, they're screwing with my phones here. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I am gonna have to find an Apple store. Um, so let's see. Apparently, Congress, see, and this is a problem. Congress is not our friend. Apparently, Congress was aware of the scheme of the international bankers and recognized the danger that the republic was in. Congressman Lindbergh said in a congressional record dated December 22nd, 1913. 1913, guys. This new law, the Federal Reserve Act, will create inflation whenever the trusts want inflation. Like, they're just controlling everything. These people are sick. And the thing is, there's so much abundance in the world. There's no reason for anybody to hoard it. Um, Although mainstream historians portray the crash of 1929 as an accident, according to Perloff, it was deliberately planned. Just like what's happening here, just like with the invasion at the border. And it is an invasion. Ever since, the people who run the Federal Reserve have created a series of recessions by tightening the flow of money. Having built the Federal Reserve as a tool to consolidate and control wealth, the international bankers were now ready to make a major killing, said Allen. Between 1923 and 1929, the Fed inflated the money supply by 62%, while the establishment's newspapers told tales of profit to be made in the stock market. Oh, yeah, by the rich people. After the money supply was tightened, the stock market collapsed. Curtis Dahl, the manager for Lehman Brothers, who was at the New York Stock Exchange when the crash occurred, referred to it as a calculated shearing of the public by the world money powers, triggered by the planned sudden shortage of call money in the New York money market. Now, isn't this what's happening now? It's starting to happen now. What was going on in 1929 is going on in 2024. The crisis was also used to increase government controls over the economy. According to Allen, such future crises would be used to further the creation of an international state. An international state. Congressman Louis McFadden, chairman of the House Banking Committee, said that the Great Depression was deliberately engineered by the international bankers to gain more control over the country. The crash did not impact the fortunes of Andrew Mellon, Paul Warburg, or John D. Rockefeller, Bernard Baruch, Joseph P. Kennedy, and others. They got out of the market before it crashed. Oh yeah, because they've got inside trading going on there. They know what's going on because they're creating it. They create the crash, so they pull their money out right before it crashes. After the crash, they were able to purchase entire companies very cheaply. History shows that the Wall Street biggies came through very well indeed, wrote Jones. Well, look at who benefited during the the pandemic. Hi, Echoes. Thank you. I love all you guys too. It's so fun to be able to chat. So, like, on the one hand, like I really enjoy like whipping out my phone and creating a video, but it's also nice to get on the laptop here and be able to have some kind of a one-on-one chat. Oh yes, and about the baby chick, it was so horrific. The baby chick, I tried to heal it, coated the head, and it just died. It was screaming. So the problem here is this baby chick was on my bed, all wrapped up. Somebody either came in and out of my house or they did it remotely, which means that they're doing that to me remotely while I'm in my bed. So the Encyclopedia Britannica describes the Great Depression as the worst economic depression in history, which resulted in economic collapses around the world and caused major changes in the structure of the US economy. To think that the scientifically engineered crash of 29 was an accident or the result of stupidity defies all logic, concluded Allen. Because much of the workforce was unemployed, there was insufficient tax revenue to pay for FDR's New Deal. So the US federal government borrowed money from the same bankers who created the Depression. The citizens would be paying interest on those loans for decades, Perloff explained. In effect, the international bankers have created the Depression, now loans America the cash to recover from it. And that is exactly what's happening now. So, he goes on to talk about the overthrow of the US government and stuff. And then, of course, he goes into tactics. Wait 1 second, let me get to it. Part 1 of the book is tactics. It's been said that when you're first targeted, they hit you hard in multiple directions. Presumably, this is done so you'll collapse after experiencing recurrent emotional violence, which is compounded after realizing that all normal support structures have been removed. Yes, the Tulsi Gabbard. The reason I wanted to focus on her and I want to follow up on whatever is happening to her, I hope she posts more videos about it. She's a public figure, and I really like her. Like, before I knew that she was targeted, like I just loved the way she spoke, and she just seemed like a genuine, as far as a politician goes, she just seemed like a genuine person who cared, about the public. So when I heard that this happened to her, she's a truth teller. She's also from Hawaii, and let's not talk about what went on there. So, and I'm sure she's tied into that. I hate the word infrastructure, but I'm sure she's tied into knowing what's going on, in her home state there. So they wanted to get rid of her. Actually, I consider her to be a great vice presidential candidate. I mean, if they couldn't get Candace Owens, why not Tulsi Gabbard? Like, I really like her. So to hear her talk about how they detained her at every stop along her flight and what they did to her there, it's just ridiculous. How much money is being spent to follow this one woman around as if she's a terrorist? And the fact that they do this so publicly and that she can disclose this to the public, because she is who she is, validates what we're experiencing even more. So the public is going to become more aware of targeting because they publicly target public figures like Tulsi Gabbard. And the Quiet Skies program, this was happening to an entire Muslim population. In fact, they filed a lawsuit. And I thought it was a really unique lawsuit because they pretty much claimed prejudice. And unfortunately, I think the lawsuit was thrown out. That's what they're doing with these lawsuits. Any lawsuit that has validity, they're just tossing out. But the one thing about the Quiet Skies program is that they stamp your tickets. So when you're made aware of how they mark your tickets, your boarding tickets and your passes and stuff, then you'll know that you've been targeted through the Quiet Skies program. You can actually petition to get off of that program. And that's because you're made aware of it. And I have read, you know what? I think it was Kim Straub, who's no longer with us. She was a nurse, targeted female nurse, who was taken out. Baker acted, all of that stuff. And she said the Freemasons were involved in targeting her. But she told me that she was on the no-fly list. And that's how she realized that she was targeted and that she had to petition to get off the no-fly list. There is a method to get off of it. Now, I don't know if the Quiet Skies program is also the no-fly list. They may or may not be interchangeable. If somebody knows, leave a comment in the chat. I'm not exactly sure. But because she was made aware that she was on the no-fly list, she was able to submit a petition to get off of it. So what happens is, I guess the Quiet Skies program is it probably is different than no fly. No fly is that they won't allow you to board. So as far as the tactics and the introduction here, the intensity of tactics that people receive appears to vary. The two main parts of the program are group stalking and non-lethal weapons, which is an oxymoron. I don't know why in hell they're calling it a non-lethal weapon. Why? Because they do it a little at a time for plausible deniability. I mean, tasers are non-lethal weapons, right? Meanwhile, they've unalived so many people with a taser, not knowing that some people had pacemakers or heart issues already. People tend to associate the word harassment with acts of temporary aggression. Therefore, it may not be the proper word to describe the never-ending acts of covert violence inflicted upon targeted people, which amounts to torture and murder. So instead of harassment, we need to be using words like covert violence, which amounts to torture and murder. It is actually premeditated. It's premeditated covert violence. Now, the last time I looked, those are felonies. Right? Some of the tactics used are borderline subliminal, which is why they're so difficult to detect, explain, and defend against. It is my goal to make the unconscious conscious. Many of these tactics are a type of mind control. Many of these methods have been used in former COINTELPRO operations by governments in the United States, Russia, and Germany against their civilian population. The hidden evil's genesis is obviously derived from known tactics such as perpetual bogus investigations, surveillance, rumor campaigns, noise, thefts, break-ins, staged accidents, framings, sabotage and vandalism, communications interference, blacklisting, citizen informants for gang stalking, poisoning, drugging, incarceration, and directed energy weapons. And I'm going to add medical fraud, psychiatric fraud, and pet and animal harm and torture. Because it's not just your pets, it's not just your dogs and cats, it's farm animals. They will go after your farm dogs, your cows, your pigs, your chickens, your guineas. I noticed that half of my roosters' tails are missing, only in one coop. And it was really bizarre because I don't see those roosters fighting with each other. There are three of them, and their tails are all missing. And then when I look closer, it's like their butts are a little bit raw. It looks like they were targeted. It looks like that somebody hit them with a directed energy weapon, like burn them. I was actually talking to one of my roosters saying, you don't even look like a rooster anymore. You look like a hen. Like a lot of his feathers disappeared. He's a healthy young rooster. It is a historical fact that the US government has officially targeted its citizen population on multiple occasions. Programs such as MK Ultra and COINTELPRO can't be denied. The methods reportedly employed in these harassment campaigns, explained McKinney, bear a striking resemblance to those attributed to the CIA and FBI during operations MK Ultra, MH Chaos, and COINTELPRO. And we are all living these programs at 2.0. Off the charts. It's totally off the charts. And somebody mentioned to me, it was in a recent video. I think it was the Kerr-Schmidt video, the testimony that I recently posted. She told me that there is a map of military trainings in the United States. And she said that Eastern Kentucky is one of them. And that's exactly where I live, Eastern Kentucky. And I hope to get the F out of here as soon as possible. In Germany, these methods were contained in two programs, Zersetzung and Directive Perceptions. That's the first time I'm hearing that. Directive Perceptions. They were basically German versions of COINTELPRO. Zersetzung was developed to psychologically destroy a target. Dr. Munzert, Munzert, drew a parallel between the current program and what occurred in East Germany. I just want to ask you guys, because I'm speaking loud, because I just want to make sure that I'm being recorded and that you could hear me. Can you hear me? Do I sound like I'm just yelling? If somebody could leave just a quick comment. Can you? Blah. Are you hearing me clearly? Am I too loud? Do I need to speak up? But anyway, in her 2004 book, Stasi-Lands, author Anna Funder describes Zersetzung as a concept that involved the annihilation of a targeted person's inner self by engineering recurrent problems in their personal and professional lives in order to induce hysteria and depression. I'm going to read that again. Zersetzung is described as a concept that involved the annihilation of a targeted person's inner self by engineering recurrent problems in their personal and professional lives in order to induce hysteria and depression. Do you hear that? We need to develop a terminology. There is premeditative murder. Okay, it's premeditative. But this sounds like it's premeditative psychiatric abuse. It's engineered to produce recurrent problems in order to induce hysteria and depression. Oh, so they can medicate it. That's right. It's all about the money. And it's all about discrediting people. Directive Perceptions was a similar program intended to destroy an individual's life by creating perpetual crisis in their career, social life, and health. It was intended to prevent the individual from using their talents while instilling feelings of hopelessness and fear. These directives were used by the Ministry for State Security, MIS, against domestic threats to state security. Oh my goodness. Is that ridiculous? Yes, it is sadistic and nefarious. It's extremely evil. Remember, these programs are created by psychopaths and malignant narcissists. They're successful because they run over people haphazardly. They have tunnel vision. And again, they look at us like cattle, that we're weak. They're evil. Hi, Paris. So this is the first time I'm hearing about directive perceptions. No one has mentioned this before. So I'm going to just do a little mark here. What the hidden evil appears to be is a combination of various COINTELPRO operations used by oppressive regimes against their civilian populations. It has been refined and deployed globally. As I'll demonstrate, it is likely an indication of an impending worldwide dictatorship. Impending worldwide dictatorship. And that's what's happening now. You know, if anybody has listened to Sabrina Wallace's recent video, they are harvesting our energy. They're using us as batteries. Yes, they're using us as batteries. And they're doing that by infecting us with all sorts of nanotechnology, graphene. And then you wonder why, so many of us who are usually highly energetic. Yes, did you watch that today? It is all true. It was about a half an hour long. Well, actually, the one that I watched it was given to me by a targeted person. Let me see. It was on another creator's channel, and what he did was he took her video, her original video, and edited out. Because she can be very graphic verbally, with the curses and stuff. So he, bleeped out, so edited out some things. He whittled it down to about a half an hour. It was really good. It's alarming. It's really alarming. I'm gonna have to listen to it again. It's really hard to wrap your mind around it. Yes, that's it. Just Kip. It's the first time I had, been on his channel, but it was sent to me by one of you guys, and I watched it. It was really good, and she knows her stuff. She really does, and I believe every word of it. It resonates with what I could not articulate because I'm not a network engineer, you know. So everybody needs to view that video. I think I'm going to ask him if I can mirror it. Many of us have experience with books that contain hidden pictures in the landscape or artwork with three-dimensional pictures superimposed on a flat background. At first, we have some trouble detecting these hidden pictures, but with practice, we usually see them. I remember like my daughter had books. She has The Body Area Networks by Sabrina Wallace. My daughter had these books called I Spy with My Little Eye, and they would be these beautiful, intricately detailed pages of all kinds of stuff. And you would have to locate the little I Spy guy, amongst all of this stuff. And that's sort of like what what Mark Rich is saying here, that it's hidden in plain view. Like it's right there. It's like once you see the Illuminati eye embedded in the wood of your furniture or your walls, you will never unsee it again anywhere else on your property. When you see the blowtorch marks on your trees, you will never unsee those marks on any other tree or anywhere else on your property. When you take out your black light and you go around your house, yeah, she's got. Now, I just want to tell you that Sabrina's channel on Odyssey, when you attend, well, at least with my software, I have software that where I'm able to download a video and then upload it to my YouTube channel. However, YouTube blocks all the videos that I download from Odyssey and try to upload to YouTube. So it blocks it. So I don't know how to, unless it's a different kind of software package, somebody has different editing skills than I do. But I've tried it before. I've downloaded her videos from Odyssey, tried to upload them, and YouTube blocks it from the software that I have. I have, what is it called? It's called 4K Video Downloader. So it's a video downloader, and it works with YouTube. So I'm able to upload videos to YouTube, but I'm not able to upload videos that I download from Odyssey to YouTube. So if anybody knows how to do that or convert it, obviously Just Kip knew how to do it. I don't. So once you know what to look for, these attacks are quite detectable. Rather than using a blunt, overt attack against a fully functional person, they usually attack covertly and conceal their harassment by using existing events that occur naturally. Yes, that's exactly what they do. That's how they get away with the plausible deniability. Yeah. So it's sort of like this is what they do. Do you have a farm too, Paris? So this is what they do. When it rains here, they take the opportunity when it rains here to tear off branches from my trees and bring branches from other people's properties and perform their bitchcraft all over my property by dumping limbs everywhere. So let's say I pick up all the limbs, and overnight there's no rain and no wind. The next morning, I find the same shit scattered all over the property. It's nonstop. And then, you tell somebody and they'll say, well, branches fall down. Well, yeah, they do fall down. But they don't fall down overnight. Not like this. I appear to be the only one that has trees just falling down everywhere, just like in New Jersey. I was the only person on my block that actually took care of the trees in New Jersey. I planted every one of them. I hired an expert tree guy every 3 years to top them off and, make them look nice. But every one of my trees were targeted and became infected, burned, poisoned. Their bitchcraft placed around the base of the roots. They were cutting the roots just like they're doing here. What they're doing here, it's very organized, yes. What they're doing here for the plausible deniability is they're going around to my stream and they're digging out underneath the bank. And anybody that you say it to say, oh, it's erosion. No, it's not erosion. The water never even gets up that high. Somebody's actually going there and picking and stealing the dirt. If it were erosion, the dirt would have fallen into the stream. I would have piles of dirt and soil and rock there. That's not what's happening. They're digging it out and stealing it. They're stealing the soil, they're exposing the roots, and in some instances, they're actually cutting the roots of my trees. It is absolutely despicable. These people hate life. They're destroying my property. This property should be worth a lot of money. It's 64 acres. And I have spent so much money on this property, and they've destroyed everything. They took down 3 of my greenhouses. I'm sorry for complaining, but 3 of my greenhouses, they were brand new, and I paid somebody to install them. They're all gone. They burned all my berries, my berry shrubs. They sliced them, cut them. It's really disgusting what they do. I painted my gate 4 times, and every time I paint it, they scrape all the paint off. They conceal their attacks using what appears to be a simple formula. From what I've learned, it includes the following: frequency. It describes how often an event occurs. It also pertains to the number of acts within a single event. Duration. It pertains to the length of a single event as well as a non-stop nature of the harassment in general. Intensity. The amplification of acts such as sound, sight, crowding within an event. It's sort of like the way they throw IEDs on my driveway, explosives on my driveway. Now, I have to tell you, this would never get over in Manalapan, New Jersey. So somebody requested of me, sent me an email, and asked me if I could do a video in the future about the difference between my targeting in New Jersey and here in Kentucky. And I could tell you for a fact that there are some things that happen here that would never go over in New Jersey. Dogs running loose, they would get picked up in a heartbeat in New Jersey and get off to the pound, and that person would have to pay a fee. Not here. They let their dogs run loose everywhere. IEDs, if somebody threw an IED on somebody's driveway in Manalapan, New Jersey, the entire block would hear it. Everybody on the block. And since the houses are so close together, that would never go over. It could actually probably cause a fire since the houses are so close together. And since all the power lines and the phone lines are all underground. So those 2 things would never go over in New Jersey. Never. But here in rural Kentucky, I call it Kentucky because I'm so, you know what? I look so forward to moving here. I thought it was such a beautiful place to live. I had done so much research on where I wanted to live. You know, Tennessee was one of those places, the Midwest, the Carolinas and stuff. And Kentucky, I absolutely cannot wait to get out of this state. What has happened to me here has poisoned me to even moving anywhere else in this state. I absolutely hate it. A hypothetical example of a car slamming event would include this. One neighbor arrives and 2 others leave. As they're tending to their vehicles, there's a repeated opening and shutting of the doors and trunks, alarms going off and beeping from alarms being turned on. These disturbances emanate from areas surrounding your house. This may happen simultaneously, or they may be strung together, one right after the other. Synopsis. The event lasted for 5 minutes. That's longer than the normal duration. In addition to the event's length being extended, the number of times each act occurred within the event was increased in frequency. This includes multiple, repeated door trunk slamming. It also happens many times throughout the day, which is the frequency. Each individual act of the door trunk shutting is amplified by deliberate slamming to produce a louder than normal noise intensity. So you all know, like you have a car, right? Like when you close the door, you know how it sounds. And you close it once. You only have to close it once. And once it's closed, it's closed. But what he's saying is that they'll have several people doing this and slamming the door so that it's louder, and that this happens more frequently during the day than normal. And the way I usually describe it is it's just not statistically possible. The event may even be part of a noise campaign consisting of an alteration of other types of noise. This basic formula is used with many of the tactics outlined in this chapter. In addition, these tactics are combined and used in round the clock fashion, which amplifies their overall potency. Now, the basic protocol is there's a basic protocol that they begin with, which is consistent in all NATO nations. It starts with the surveillance of the TI to obtain information that is used for the attacks. And I'll give you a quick example. In 2015, and I've got a photo of this biatch, she pulled up next to my car when I was at the feral cat colony at the Pinebrook Care Center in Manalapan, New Jersey. The cat colony they cared for more than 16 years. She pulls up with her notepad and she's watching me the whole time that I'm feeding the cats, sitting in her car just taking notes the whole time, which is usually at least 20 minutes, half an hour, or whatever. I get back into my car and she's still taking notes. So I'm sitting in my car and I photograph her. And I leave and she's still there taking notes. So now I witnessed this in 2015. This person surveilling me at feeding my cats. This is done so that the personality traits can be cataloged. So that probably means that I had somebody following me around at the gym, because I used to go to the gym 5 days a week. And you know what? I never even knew. I never even thought about it. So somebody was probably following me at the gym. There's a basic protocol that the perpetrators begin with, states McKinney, but the TI contributes to the modification. Oh, and I want to say that, yes, a Manalapan cop followed me, stalked me at the bagel store at Gordon's Corner Road in Manalapan, New Jersey for at least a year. And I would go to the bagel store after I fed my feral cat colony. I would go there almost every day because it was really close, and I would stop there and get something to eat. Sometimes I would eat there and sometimes I would bring it home. But surprisingly, this one police officer, sometimes he was, in his uniform, and sometimes he was plain clothed, like on the weekends and stuff. He always showed up. I just thought it was really weird that I could have the same schedule, which wasn't the same every day, as this cop. And then it turns out that this cop was one of the police that showed up after my house had been broken into. He's the same cop that shows up without a badge, doesn't give me an incident number. I mean, I know he's a cop because I've seen him before. Plus, he was the only black cop in the Manalapan Police Department. And he was the one that I thought was probably the nicest, more ethical cop, but they probably employed him or blackmailed him or whatever. So he shows up without a badge, doesn't give me an incident report number, and then he looks at the door jamb that was pulled away from my door. The paint was all scraped off. There were striation marks on the deadbolt. And he has the audacity to gaslight me, turn to me and says, "Your house wasn't broken into. I would know. I was a locksmith before I became a police officer." I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. Anyway. So after They are singled out for preliminary stages of harassment. Gang stalking ensues, which McKinney describes as part of a softening up process. Oh, no, he did not investigate it. No, he didn't investigate it. He did not. He was part of it. No, he's absolutely part of it. Um, because he has shown up at my house another time. He showed up at my house the time that my perpetrator neighbor called the cops on me for walking on my driveway, and they wiped clean my porch camera and killed the battery on my digital recorder. Yeah, he did not investigate. Oh, yeah, he was part of it for sure. Absolutely. That's why he showed up without a badge or any identification on him. He was just wearing his uniform without any identifying information. I mean, I knew who he was. I've seen him for a year stalking me at the bagel store. It was just such a coincidence that he would show up every time. Yep. His name is Reggie Grant. And Reggie, if you're listening, my house was broken into. There are photos on the internet everybody could see for themselves, but you can lie. Go along to get along. Anyway, the DEW attacks gradually increase. Oh, wait, I missed something. Then directed energy weapons DEW are introduced. So first what they do is they surveil you to obtain information to use for your attacks. They want to catalog your personality traits. Then they single you out for preliminary stages of harassment, and then the gang stalking ensues. Then the directed energy weapons are introduced. And I'll tell you for a fact that when they started introducing these directed energy weapons to me, I would wake up nauseous in the morning. There was a couple of times I vomited. It made me so sick. I had no idea what was happening. I was waking up with blisters on my toes, and my feet would become so red and inflamed. Okay, the DEW attacks gradually increase to extreme conditions. This format has been seen consistently in many countries. Dr. Munzert speaks of basically the same pattern, which he describes as a dual strategy used by the East German Stasi. This includes attacking the person with directed energy weapons while running psychological warfare to portray them as insane. Well, I'm going to tell you, folks, the only people that are insane are these criminals. And I will tell you for a fact that my neighbors are friggin' nuts. They are totally nutcases. Now, I will say, like in New Jersey, the perpetrators were fairly more intelligent. They were probably being paid more. Their houses cost a hell of a lot more to maintain. They were probably getting paid a lot more than the people were getting paid here. So they get to employ the moronic of the morons here. They're basically idiots. So this protocol includes elements of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, which is a type of mind control used by behaviorists to cause change. NLP will be covered in more detail shortly. Some of the tactics below have been called street theater or staged events. They are planned harassment skits such as blocking or swarming. They also include informants who surround targets and have conversations intended to be overheard, which contain information about the TI's personal life that was obtained from surveillance. This actually happened to me in New Jersey. I was out to lunch with a targeted female. So we met for lunch at a diner, and she goes into the restroom, And there's a group of older women sitting at the table next to me, and they pretty much repeat something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they speak to me and they say something as if they either overheard our conversation. So that was the kind of the first time that had happened to me, but it's happened to me here in Kentucky also. Their planned harassment skits. Let's see. Let's see. This is not a complete list of tactics, but it includes some of the more common ones reported. Some of these methods will sound insane because they're deliberately designed to make someone appear as though they're suffering from a mental disorder. They were created by experts in the behavioral sciences. In addition, people may be emotionally drained and unable to properly identify or explain what's happening to them. Well, of course, it's very difficult to place in words something that you have not experienced before because you do not have a frame of reference to describe it. In addition, when you're experiencing emotional trauma and you're exhausted, it's hard to even make a coherent sentence at times. You know, when you're getting hit with directed energy weapons and you wake up incoherent, what are you supposed to do? You have to just, get on with your morning and kind of weave your way into things. I'm glad in some regards that I don't have somebody here to speak to right away because sometimes I just don't feel like talking to anybody. I am out of it. I'm too busy caring for my animals and stuff. But yes, it is emotionally draining. These are psychological warfare tactics intended to make an individual suffer a nervous breakdown. You hear that? This is premeditated psychological abuse and trauma. 27 years is a long time. Well, that's actually a Saturn cycle. And there's like this tiny little bug here. I don't know where it came from. They've got bugs everywhere in my house. I just squashed it on my book. Sorry, guys. I'll read that sentence again. These psychological warfare tactics are intended to make an individual suffer a nervous breakdown. It's intention. And intention is premeditated. Somebody is intending to do something to you. It's premeditated. It's planned. So that was the basic protocol. Now I'm going to read this next one, and then I'm going to sign off because I want to take an Epsom salt bath. I need to detox a little bit. So the next one is the mental health system. The mental health system is apparently being used worldwide to discredit targeted people who complain. Okay. Oh, who complain? I don't know. Filing an incident report about criminal activity complaining? Or is that what the police department is supposed to do as part of their job description? Aren't they supposed to take incident reports of crime that has taken place upon a person or property? Oh, but the mental health system is being used to discredit targeted people who complain. According to the book, Journey into Madness, the true story of a secret CIA mind control and medical abuse by Gordon Thomas, countries around the world, including the US, have used doctors to help abuse and discredit people, often for political reasons. Do you hear that? They use doctors to help abuse and discredit people for political reasons. Well, that's exactly what they did to my mother. My mother didn't only suffer at the hands of the medical profession at Lawrence Hospital in Yonkers, New York in 2021. But the only reason she was there is because these criminals gave my mother a seizure in her sleep. They gave her a seizure in her sleep. It is also documented fact that there was collaboration between doctors and the military when experiments were carried out in prisons, hospitals, and universities on unwitting people in North America. Well, we know that for a fact. And even President Clinton, former President Clinton, apologized. He had a public apology. It's actually on my channel somewhere. You can search for it. I think type in Clinton. He gave an apology to the people that were covertly experimented on and their families, because most of them were gone already. You know, like all the people that were tortured at Willowbrook on Long Island. McKinney states that medical doctors, as well as psychiatrists and psychologists, appear to be providing cover for this program. I have to tell you, folks, this makes me really ill. It really does, because I did not go to school for 6 years to learn that psychiatrists and psychologists are covering for this program. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Disgusts me. This is similar to what was done in Russia, where enemies of the dictatorship were thrown into mental institutions and drugged into submission. The APA's refusal to acknowledge the impact of terrorism upon the human psyche, declared McKinney, raises serious questions about the validity of psychiatry as a profession in this country, not to mention the APA's ethical intent in the long term. I absolutely agree with that. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM, is a diagnostic manual for identifying mental disorders. The first edition of the DSM was released in 1952 at a time when the APA was under the control of Dr. Ewan Cameron. Well, if anybody knows about that piece of crap, that was one sick psychopath. He would commit government-sponsored torture. Listen closely. Government-sponsored torture under the MK Ultra program. Government-sponsored torture. And what the TI program actually is government-sponsored harassment, government-sponsored murder. That's the intent. Dr. Ronnie Lena Kildee. Oh, here's another one of these little bugs that keeps popping up here. They've got them all over my house. They're everywhere. And the reason they're coming around here is because my light's on near my laptop. It's the only light that's on here, really. So Dr. Kildee, former chief medical officer of Finland, wrote an article entitled Microwave Mind Control, Modern Torture and Control Mechanisms Eliminating Human Rights and Privacy. In it, she described the DSM as a brilliant cover-up operation in 18 languages to hide the atrocities of military and intelligence agencies' actions towards their targets. I'm going to read that again. She described the DSM as a brilliant cover up operation in 18 languages to hide the atrocities of military and intelligence agencies' actions towards their targets. Mental health professionals are trained to label people with a mental disorder who complain about gang stalking and electronic attacks. Meanwhile, in Manalapan, New Jersey, when I lived at 52 Sutton Drive, Tina Booth from the Monmouth PES was called upon by the Manalapan Police Department at the time, Lieutenant Thomas Mantle, who's now a captain, because I reported vandalism. So now they're not even Baker acting people with the mental health professionals that train to label people with a disorder who complain about gang stalking and electronic attacks. You don't even have to complain about those anymore. All you have to do is report a real crime, like a real crime, like breaking and entering, with proof, thefts with proof, vandalism, proof, and they will label you. They will call in somebody who has less experience than you to give you a label in 20 minutes flat. Never, says Dr. Kildee, is the medical profession told that these are routine actions all over the world by intelligence agencies against their targets. Annie Earle is a licensed clinical social worker with over 25 years of experience as an independent practitioner. She noticed a pattern unfolding when some of her clients who complained of directed energy attacks and gang stalking did not fit the standard diagnostic criteria. Apparently, Miss Earle was attacked herself while studying this program. Interestingly, in April-May 1996 issue of Nexus magazine, it contained an article entitled "How the NSA Harasses Thousands of Law-Abiding Americans Daily by Their Usage of Remote Neuromonitoring," and it was written by a former NSA worker, John St. Clair Acquay. It read, "NSA DOMINT, DOMINT, domestic intelligence, has the ability to covertly assassinate U.S. citizens or run covert psychological control operations to cause subjects to be diagnosed with ill mental health." Is that amazing? Among its other uses, the DSM appears to be one cover-up method for government-sponsored directed energy weapon and gang stalking attacks. This was evidently done so that people will appear ill when explaining this to a mental health professional. Adding to this confusion, the program itself is it's premeditated to mimic psychotic symptoms such as hallucinations and delusions of persecution. Mental health professionals may also participate in this program, wittingly or unwittingly, by labeling targets mentally ill. It is one of several layers of protection used to keep the sick system from being exposed. Surveillance is apparently part of a bogus investigation that never ends. Exactly. What did you say? 27 years? You're being investigated for 27 years. But in the name of national security, they can't confirm or deny that you're being investigated. If the target lives in a house, the base will usually be the closest building to the house. Oh, really? You mean that house that's vacant next door to me that looks like they haven't cut the grass in 5 years? That one. Oh, the one that installed the security light that shines into my back window that wasn't there when I moved here? Or maybe it's my neighbors next door. The one with the big mouth who appeared on Neighborhood Wars on A&E, April 11, 2023. If the okay, so let's see. After a person is identified, dwellings surrounding them will be sublet and used as bases of operation and training. If they live in an apartment, then the base will be in one or more of the surrounding apartments. There will be unusual patterns of occupancy with a lot of people coming and going. Vehicles and license plates used by the occupants of the bases may be periodically changed. I've actually seen that. According to McKinney and Moray, the people who move into these bases have been linked to the Department of Justice, CIA, and other federal agencies, as well as universities and government defense contractors. In order to target someone, it requires that that person be put under surveillance, proclaimed McKinney, so that their personality traits, their capacity to interrelate with people, their capacity for corruption or non-corruption, that seems to be a critical point. Well, just give me a couple of minutes, guys. I'm just going to say it out loud for the criminals that are surveilling me, you fuckers. You ain't never going to corrupt me. Because I can't wait. If my house doesn't sell, I can't wait to sue your sorry asses. And mark my words, ask my ex-husband. It took me 3 years to divorce his sorry ass, but I did it. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If my house doesn't sell, you will all be in my lawsuit. Oh, to quote my neighbor, my neighbor had the audacity to threaten an 18-year-old worker on my property that if he continued to clean up my property, he would be part of her lawsuit. Really? Really? You're threatening my worker that if he cleans my property, he's going to be part of your lawsuit? What planet do you live on? But guess what, girlie, blondie? You'll be part of my lawsuit. How about that? So the information obtained by surveillance is used for no ethical reason other than to establish a harassment protocol, which will follow that targeted individual for the rest of his or her life, said McKinney. According to Moray, neighbors, friends, and family are then used to attack the targeted individual. This surveillance is apparently done using very sophisticated equipment, which can locate people through walls. Yeah, it's called through-the-wall radar. This equipment is used in combination with directed energy weapons and other non-lethals. And that's probably how they scalped, they skinned alive my baby chick. Absolutely disgusting. I couldn't believe it, what they did to this baby chick. Miniature microphones and cameras may be planted in your home, and through-the-wall infrared devices may be used to monitor your movement. Let's see. There is a variety of technology can be remotely monitor people inside of buildings and even record their physiological signatures. More than likely, however, the surveillance technology, which is now being used on targets worldwide, is much more advanced and not publicly available. Character assassination. Targets usually experience character assassination, which is done to destroy their personal and professional lives. Half-truths and lies are often strategically spread. The rumors circulated about people are apparently not petty, but shocking and repulsive. They are CIA or Stasi-type life-damaging lies. Some of the people spreading them may be acquaintances or family members that have been recruited, lied to, intimidated, and blackmailed as informants. More on the recruitment of family and friends will be covered in the Citizens Enforce Their Rule and Motivational Factors chapters. U.S. federal law enforcement has used these tactics to destroy people they either wanted to recruit as informants or those they knew they couldn't recruit and needed to destroy. CIA psychologist James Keener, Keehner, explained it was planned destructiveness. Planned means premeditated, which is a legal term. Okay? Planned is not a legal term, but premeditated is a legal term. First, you check to see if you could destroy a man's marriage. If you could, then that would be enough to put a lot of stress on that individual, to break him down. Then you might start a rumor campaign against him. Harass him constantly. Reportedly, rumors are spread portraying targeted people as pedophiles, prostitutes, terrorists, mentally ill, drug addicts, etc. They're often spread to neighbors, friends, family, and employers. A major effort is spent to separate the person from their friends and families. Apparently, these rumor campaigns aid in recruitment. Dr. Kildee wrote, "Deception is the name of the game. So recruits are told untrue, sinister stories of their victims to keep them motivated. And people are so stupid, they believe whatever they're told." According to CNN, the Stasi used this exact same tactics. The agency was authorized to conduct secret smear campaigns against anyone it judged to be a threat. The Russian KGB, too, with its massive networks of informants, would slander their internal targets. These rumors may be propagated by multiple people who are controlled by the state. Apparently, not letting a targeted person become aware of these rumors is essential to their effectiveness. Victor Santoro noted in his book Gaslighting, How to Drive Your Enemies Crazy, the essence of defaming your target with rumors is it that it not get back to him. Now, the next chapter is a little bit long, so I'm going to stop here. And it's also 4 o'clock in the morning here, 4 a.m. So I appreciate everybody that came into the chat. The sole purpose was because I can't record on my phone. I'm not able to record anything on my phone, so I'll be doing lives more frequently. And thank you, Paris, for explaining that. And an average Joe. Who else is here? Targeted assistance. Oh, hi there. They are evil. So evil. And what I did, I mean, you're new here. So I read a chapter from The Hidden Evil, the Mark M. Rich book, The Financial Elite's Covert War Against the Civilian Population. And I'm reading Tactics Part 1. And so far I've read, let's see, the basic protocol, the mental health system, surveillance, character assassination, and the next in the book on page 71 is sensitivity to programs, which is NLP, but that's several pages long, so I'm going to stop here. It goes on to swarming and stuff, and maybe in the next chat I'll finish this chapter. This is part 1, because then part 2 is sabotage, vandalism, and staged events. Your phone won't record anything? Well, my phone does record, but what they've done is they have made it such that I have no phone storage left, even though I have offloaded almost all of my apps. I have deleted dozens of videos, like long videos, like 40-minute videos. That should have automatically freed up space. I deleted photographs. I have 2 terabytes of iCloud storage. That's not even half full. So that should already be uploading there. And it's been taking days and days, and it's not happening. Nothing's happening. So they don't want me recording, because I'm collecting so much evidence. It's irrefutable. It's absolutely irrefutable that they're throwing literally bombs on my driveway. My cameras are recording this stuff and immediately I post it online. It's all online. I actually reported these efforts to the FBI. I filed an FBI complaint online. I did. And even though the FBI is obviously, I actually call them my favorite bureau of instigation because that's what they are. They instigate trouble. They work with Infraguard, these Infraguard losers, these private contract Infraguard losers. Well, no, they do nothing. You know, when I contacted, exactly, yeah, Infraguard is the FBI. Infraguard is their sidearm, and you cannot FOIA request Infraguard because they're a nonprofit. But you can FOIA request the FBI, and when you do that, like I did, when I FOIA requested the FBI, I get the same response back. Well, we cannot confirm or deny that you're on any list in the name of national security. I kid you not, it's the same shit. Oh, but you can investigate me for years and years and years. What are you looking for? That's so ridiculous. Go fight some real crime. You know, favorite Bureau of Instigation? Why aren't you looking for those 800,000 children that go missing every year? Why don't you get off your butts and go look for those kiddos? Oh, I know why. I know why. Yeah, I know why. Because they're involved in that cover up. Because they're all pedos and Satanists themselves. Anyway, I'll end on that note. Because Mark M. Rich says that what we're dealing with are satanic psychopaths. That's what he called it at the beginning of the book that I read in the last chat. He called them satanic psychopaths. And it's the agenda. Satanic psychopaths. But anyway, I'm looking for a bookmark here. Something that I can bookmark this. But anyway, thank you everybody for joining in. That's it. Well, it's actually, it goes beyond antisocial personality. If they were all antisocial, that's actually not such a big deal. It's a pain in the ass, you know. It but these they're antisocial people are not all satanic. Antisocial people are not all sadists. Antisocial people are not all psychotic. Okay? But a lot of antisocial people can be. But sadists and Satanists are mostly psychotic because they belong to a cult. And they do the unthinkable things. Whether you believe in God or Jesus or whatever it is, but whomever is the divine creator would never condone, permit, want, reinforce the behaviors that these criminals inflict upon other people. So it goes beyond antisocial personality disorder. They are malignant narcissists. They're sociopaths and psychopaths. They have no empathy, no conscience. And many of them are extremely immature. And on top of that, on top of all of that, many of them are substance abusers. whether it's steroids, energy drinks, alcohol, cocaine, pharmaceuticals. There are people that abuse pharmaceuticals. And there are negative personality side effects to all of those drugs that I just mentioned. Oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, those guys. Yeah, the Thin Blue Line cult. That is a cult. If they don't have the American flag and instead have a flag with a blue line, they are the new Stasi. They're white supremacists. That's what they are. And I say that because who was it? Okay, it was another targeted person who was recently interviewed on David A's channel. He sent you to his website, and on his website you can download some documents. Some of the documents that I downloaded were with regard to policing in America in the future, what they're planning, what they've been planning. It's quite serious, guys. It's extremely disturbing and very serious. And his name, when David interviewed him, was T.I. Street, Street. T.I. Street. So anyway, on that note, on that joyous note, I'm going to sign off for now. Thank you, everybody, for joining in the chat. I know it's a crazy hour, but you know what? Hey, guys, you're targeted people. I know you're awake. And plus, you're all in different time zones, right? I'm on the East Coast here, so it's ridiculously early. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. And I don't think I'm going to go to bed tonight. I think I'm just going to take my bath, and then by the time I'm finished and stuff, I'm going to have to wake up and take care of my animals. My roosters will start to crow and tell me that they want to eat. So, but anyway, I'm going to sign off for now. I'm going to end the live stream. I hope everybody has a good rest of the day or evening, wherever you are located. And thank you all, Targeted Assistance and Paris. Who are the people that were up there? Let me see who's up there. Joe and Dial of Purchase, Echoes of Infinity. Have a great night, everybody.